สวัสดีค่ะ I'm Sotchir Lim Griangai and welcome to Be My Guest, the program that brings you successful stories of institutions and entrepreneurs in both international and domestic arena. In today's episode, we will be talking to our guest about Mahidol University Creative Economy Center, which will tell us about their projects and how it helps to spur the local economy and the local people. Well, let's find out more with our guest today. In this episode, we are joined by Assistant Professor Dr. Surapong Lertsithi-Chai, former Director of Mahidol University Creative Economy Center. สวัสดีค่ะ So the center itself, we talked before in our last, tape that we talked, that there are 5 projects, and now we're going to talk about each one of them. And one of them is called the Thai Tuner application. So can you explain to us what the Thai Tuner application is?
Well, it's basically a mobile application that helps us tune Thai musical instruments to have the standard frequency that it should be. The project was established due to the project that was established at the Department of Fine Arts, Gom Simpakorn, with Ajahn Pakorn, who was the lead investigator.
Okay.
There's a research that was published quite a while ago that was done both at Chulalongkorn University and Department of Fine Arts. The initiative was done by His Majesty King Bhumibol Adulyadej to standardize the Thai musical sounds.
I see.
So including musical instruments that should have some kind of standard frequency to all instruments that we have. So the project was collecting all the frequencies and standardized that. But nobody had known about this research until we met Ajahn Pakorn, who was interested in pursuing this to a larger mass.
I see.
And he pursued the idea of creating an application. So the center took this initiative and funded the project to become one of the pilot projects under the Cultural Innovation Project.
I see.
So Thai Tuner happened about a year ago.
Okay.
And we came up with an application to record all the frequencies of the Thai musical instruments. Initially, we had about 33 different musical instruments.
That's a lot.
That was standard in the Thai musical arena, which we call Wong Pi Phat, Wong Moholi, and Wong Kreng Sai. So about 30 or so instruments. But we thought that wasn't really enough.
Yeah.
There was also other Thai musical instruments, the local Thai instruments from all the different parts of Thailand that nobody had actually collected. So we sampled all these instruments from all around the country and had the total of about 89 different instruments within this application. So the application that we use is on iOS and also Android.
Okay.
We can download for free under the name Thai Tuner. And if you open up the application, it will be divided into 5 different types of musical instruments, Thai musical instruments.
Okay.
So there's string, percussion, wind, and also
categorized.
voice. Yes. And each category you would have all these different instruments with the background, the history of those instruments, and also how to tune your instruments. For example, if you have one of the string instruments, you can use the string, turn on the application, hit one of the tones, and then tune. So you can hear it and you can tune. And also in the application it would show, it's sort of like a bi-directional application. The sound that you produce will go back into the application and it would sum up what the frequency it is. So you would see instantly that...
is it the right frequency?
Yes, if it's the right frequency or not. If it's right, then it will be highlighted and that means that you've already tuned correctly.
Wow.
So that was the first phase of the project. However, the second phase, we have a board of directors.
Yes.
Mom Ratchabong Pidiyathorn Tewakul asked about musical instruments that cannot be tuned.
And are there some instruments that cannot be tuned?
There were quite a few, and we didn't know exactly how to do this because if you cannot tune by using your hands to tune or tweak them, it has to be done within the factory when it's produced. So he
from
gave
the very
us,
beginning, it has to be fixed then.
Yes, from the very beginning. So he gave us an idea of two particular instruments, which is the cymbal and the flute. The Thai flute and the Thai cymbal, we call ching and klui. So those are the two that he identified and asked us to investigate how this was done. We had to figure out where to find a standardized cymbal and flute that had the correct frequencies. Having those, collecting them and dissecting each one of them.
Sounds like a lot of work.
Yes, so we had to partner with the Faculty of Engineering.
Yes.
We dissected the cymbal and figure out the elements of the materials, what kind of metal, the percentage it was made out of. And then we had to scan a 3D version of this cymbal to find out the exact geometry with about 1 millimeter range of deficiencies. So that was one of the prototypes. Once we had the 3D version of it, we could produce it using CNC machines.
Okay.
So we had a block of solid metal that you would use a CNC machine to cut out the cymbal.
I see.
And each single one would be a standard shape, standard size, and would produce the correct frequency
I see.
From the factory.
I see. So basically you have to create a new instrument basically from scratch to create the right frequency.
Yes, and we have one of the prototypes here, which is this.
So it's available
cymbal.
for sale as well?
Well, this is still a prototype. We produce about 50 of them.
Okay.
And if you can see this, it's been carved out using CNC machines, so the right precision made.
I see.
And the sound is also already tuned, so you don't have to tune this anymore.
I see.
The same goes with the flute.
Okay.
This was laser cut, so we have a PVC version of the flute. And although the sound is not exactly like a typical wooden flute, but the tune and the frequency itself is standard.
I see. So what is the feedback like after this application was launched?
Well, we targeted audiences who were Thai musical instrument players and producers, and also Thai schools who teach how to use these Thai musical instruments. So there's about 30,000 schools in Thailand already that teach how to play Thai musical instruments. The feedback has been very, very good. Professionals who use the tuner to tune their instruments before playing actually found a difference in the sound that they played prior to having this application. The school were very happy with having this, so now they had a standardized ear, virtual ear to do this for them. Usually they would have the teacher or the master tell them which tune is correct or not. But now we have this application. So we think that this is a very good start for standardizing Thai musical sounds and a way to preserve the Thai heritage.
Definitely. We'll take a quick break here, and when we come back, we'll talk more about another project. Welcome back to the program. So now we have entered our second break, and we will be talking about another project, which is called Batik Pattern Design. So can you give us a little bit of detail about this project?
Yes, this project is also another mobile application, but it started from an initiative that we wanted to add value to existing fabric, local fabric that is well known in Thailand, which is called batik fabric. The initial production of these fabric, as we know, is very expensive and time consuming, and therefore there's a risk of making mistakes that makes the production very costly. And we saw this gap. We think that we could find ways to eliminate some of these risks by creating an application that could help create more patterns and also find a production process that would eliminate these risks. So the first objective of the project was to help identify a new segment for batik pattern designs. And we created this application that allows users or young designers to utilize this application and create different types of patterns.
I see.
So it's sort of like a patternizer application. It's very easy to use, very intuitive, and you can use the camera to take a snapshot of anything that you see. You add different colors to it and use this as a repetition to create a pattern.
I see.
So that's very simple to use. Anyone can use this. Besides having the types of patterns that we see in batik fabric today, you see seashells, fish, and so on. This could be anything.
So new objects are
Yes.
being used as well.
And modernize this with very modern patterns.
I see.
And we can use any types of color combinations within the application.
I see. So what is the objective of this application?
Well, as I said earlier, we wanted to create a new segment for this market. Typical batik fabric is very expensive. If you know Dala Batik, who produced this fabric for the Miss Universe pageant in the past, it's very expensive.
Yes.
And therefore, we wanted to create a new young generation of designers who could produce patterns that were unique, but also would attract young buyers.
Cost friendly, basically.
Yes. And so this application would answer to this calling to create very modernized patterns.
I see. So why is this specific fabric? Why not other type of fabric like silk? Why did you choose this type?
It's something that's unique in Southeast Asia, in Indonesia, Malaysia, and Thailand. It's also well known around the world. The production process is very extensive.
I see.
So when you have a pattern you want to create, you need to use molted wax to create the patterns, and then you dye the fabric. Once you have the fabric dyed, you mount the wax out, and then you dye again the second time. So you would have these color combinations that are very unique to this type of fabric, and you cannot do so in other types of fabric like in silk.
I see. So is the application available to the public right now?
Yes, it's free to all. You can download it on iOS and Android, and we hope young designers would utilize this in such ways, because it also has a feature called 3D simulation. So you create your patterns, you add colors to it, and you can see how the pattern would be on fabric that we use for maybe a scarf, a t-shirt, a bag, and so on. So you can visualize it in 3D.
I
If
see.
the pattern combines, if it's too big or too small, you can scale it up and scale down.
I see. So they don't have to go through the mistake. They
Yes.
can just, see it first and decide whether they like it or not.
Exactly.
So is there any feedback for this application already?
Well, there's interest from producers of batik fabric already. They are interested in having a way to output the patterns that we create in the application to actual production, which would be the second phase of the project, is to find a way to print the fabric instead of the typical way of manually drawing or using stamps.
I see.
This would be computerized, and there will be absolutely no mistakes.
I see. So, will there be any, future development for this application?
Well, I hope so. The application right now, we've tested, and we think that it's pretty complete. Of course, there are rooms for improvement in the application. And if we pursue into the production, it would have to be extended anyways.
I see. Well, we take a quick break here, and when we come back, we'll talk more.
Thank you.
Welcome back to the last break. So we have already talked about the two other projects under the center. So now we're talking about the last one, which is called the Colors of ASEAN. So can you tell us a little bit of the background of this project?
Yes, the Colors of ASEAN project was an initiative under the Intangible Cultural Heritage Project. There was a researcher from the Faculty of Arts at Mahidol University who was interested in pursuing the meaning and value of colors.
I see.
And the research that was conducted pursued something in addition to the traditional Thai colors
I see.
into the colors of ASEAN, which combines all 10 countries.
I see.
There was a existing project, a research project by Ajahn Pairod at Sibukhan University called Thai Tone, which collected all the typical conventional Thai colors that was known only in Thailand.
I didn't know that existed.
Yes, there was colors that were made from natural pigments or named after natural elements or animals,
I see.
such as the color pale white, in Thai called Kwai Phuok, which means albino buffalo.
Okay.
So the buffalo that's albino has this color, it's kind of white
And pinkish,
and
I
pink
assume.
and purple. So it's
Okay.
very unique, and the naming is also very unique. So all these colors were known within the region, within Thailand only. And if you go to other countries in ASEAN, they also have their own names for particular colors, which are named after either natural pigments or natural animals,
I see.
and only unique in this region only. So the research started from Thailand and expanded to the neighboring ASEAN countries. And we collected samples of colors that were very unique to those regions and gave them the digital coding. So we collected the red, green, blue, or RGB values of each color.
Okay.
That was verified by local people in that particular country.
Okay.
And using those colors, we noticed that colors is something that's very basic. It's the first thing you see when you were born. You cannot even understand what a shape is, but
Yes.
you see color right away.
Yes.
And sometimes we use color related to beliefs and religion
emotions.
and emotions as well. And so there's an element of value embedded within the definition of
Definitely.
color.
Definitely.
And so sometimes we purchase or we buy things according to the color that we like.
Definitely.
So if we dress in a particular color, it's a color we like. It's more likely that you buy other colors, products with that same color.
Yes.
So that's the kind of value, commercial value embedded with the color. And there's also social beliefs embedded into colors as well.
Yes.
For example, the color green, if it's associated with beliefs in Chinese religions, they think that green is related to jealousy. So it's not a positive kind of belief.
I thought it would mean life, but it's related to
Right.
jealousy.
So in Vietnam, men who wear green shirts, it's believed that they would have a hidden wife on the side because this value of beliefs.
I see.
The same green in Indonesia is actually a color for the gods. And so you cannot use anything that's colored green for a human body because they believe this is a color for the gods. So
see.
sandals, shoes that are green cannot be sold
It's a big no.
in Indonesia, for example, like that. And so this knowledge that we gathered by collecting also the value of the colors, the heritage of it, embedded with this know-how.
Yeah.
Now we have a collection, and we created this encyclopedia for colors of ASEAN, which I have an example here.
Very interesting.
So it tells you about the different countries in ASEAN, what their beliefs is, and also, which is a highlight of the book, is the tones or the colors of each country. we would see that each region has a different set of combinations.
Yes, different palette kind of colors.
Right. For example, in the Philippines, the colors would be very vibrant. There's lots of yellow, lots of red, bright red and orange, versus countries like Malaysia, Indonesia, or Brunei would have a more subtle kind of color.
Darker as well, right?
Right. So we have this encyclopedia, which is a guideline for designers or companies who produce products or services for the ASEAN market. Will have this guide as a know-how of what to do and what not to do.
I see. But I see that you've got other products too.
Yes, we also have this sort of
Booklet.
color palette.
Yes.
So it's easy to use. It has the color codes. So what we did to further the idea is to create products with the colors that we have come up with. So this is one of our partners. These are ceramic tiles produced by Koto under SCG. So Koto is a local Thai brand that produces floor tiles. They sell their tiles in 8 countries of ASEAN already.
Yeah, I see.
So partnering with them would be a good idea to
Definitely.
produce products like this with colors and also patterns that are specific to the country.
So not only colors that are specific to the countries, there are also patterns that are specific
Yes.
to each country as well.
We explored ancient fabric in each country. So we know that there's no copyright related to these ancient fabric.
Yes.
And we took certain elements of the patterns that they designed and took those with the colors and created something totally new with the designs. So like here we have
A book,
a
notebook.
notebook. We have neckties. This is from Malaysia. This is for Laos. We also have a pillow.
Pillowcase.
This is
yeah.
a color from Indonesia. And also tote bags. It's a good way to promote local colors in ASEAN and also a good way to promote local patterns otherwise gone unnoticed.
Or forgotten
Yes,
at last.
exactly. So we think that doing this and partnering with real industry players would help promote the idea of what the value of
course.
colors are.
Of course, it can become a souvenir for that country easily
Yes.
with the patterns and colors that represent them.
A good example would be the service center, service sector. In Thailand, we have spas
Yes.
that would use traditional Thai colors with their products and services and the decorations.
I see.
So these colors would represent elegance. So there's dark hues like in purple, dark brown, and accent of different colors that would make the space look vibrant.
I see.
So these colors all have value. And we think that producing the book, the encyclopedia, and also having an application would be something easy for people to bring with them or use as a reference or guidelines.
Of course.
And for young designers, young companies who want to produce things for the market, can also follow this guideline of what to do and what not to do.
Very
in terms
useful
of colours.
indeed. And where
Yes.
can they find this booklet, this reference guide?
Well, this booklet we distribute free. You can request this at Mahidol University.
Okay.
And the application is also ready to download on apps, Google Play and iTunes.
I see. And what about the products here? If someone's interested maybe with the pillows or the neckties or things like this, where can they find them? Is it on
Well,
sale?
they're all prototypes.
Okay.
We did this to promote how people can produce local products.
I see.
We also have partners who took the idea and produced things that they produce goods.
I
Like
see.
in Terminal, the shopping mall.
Yes.
There's a few people who took the ideas and the colors and patterns into their own brands.
I see.
So we would work closely with whoever wants to partner or wants to utilize the.
So they can contact the center for
Exactly.
more information regarding the patterns and
Yes.
the colors. I see. Well, unfortunately, that's all the time we have for this episode. Thank you so much for coming in and sharing with us this information. ขอบคุณค่ะ With these different applications, not only it is user-friendly and informative, but it is also very useful. It is definitely something that is worth looking into and definitely has a lot of potential to expand in the future. And that's all the time we have for this episode. Thank you for tuning in. See you again next time. สวัสดีค่ะ